Hogback. It didn't just happen. In 1990, a small family home was constructed on 30 acres at the base of Hogback Mountain in Rockbridge County, Virginia. There was a large tree growing beside the rear of the deck, from which you got a magnificent view of Big and Little House Mountain. Here they are, covered in snow in the distance. The house was left unpainted for many years, as it featured siding of poplar boards from the nearby sawmill. The original deck comprised a 12-foot section across the rear with 6 foot wide on either side. In 1992, I constructed a dual hot tub structure. It comprised 2 large dye vats from Lee's Carpets. They were about 4 foot wide, 6 foot long, and about 5 foot deep. The upper unit contained cold water, while the lower tub contained water heated by a stainless steel tank over a wood fire, and the hot water was recirculated by a pumping system. The idea was you'd jump in the cold water after enjoying the heated tub. I only did it once and survived. A light mounted on the side gave the water a red glow. 1993-94 saw the first group of students rent the house. They were William Probst, John Wagner, Taylor Burke, Douglas Zink, Shannon Smith. Here's a shot of the 12-foot rear deck and one of the 6-foot side deck. It wasn't long before the house became jealously guarded as the property of the Fidelts. 1994-95 saw the return of William Probst, Taylor Burke, with the addition of James Whiteside and Ashley Pennywell and Hugh Robinson. Not a lot happened over the next few years, but I'll recap the personnel who lived at Hogback and the year. 95-96 was Cole Van Nice, Drew Gibson, Jeb Wooford, Colin Looney, and Butler Ball. 96-97, Jack Bauer, Henry Griggs, Scott Crawford, Nate Hansford, and Peter Breen. 97-92 was a 2-year contract with Chase Carsman, Phil Barrett, Earl Gregory, Brew Foster, and Stephen Schultz. 1999-2000 was Andrew Crawford, Douglas Williams, Paul Spencer, Scott King, Michael Capron. 2000-2001, Andrew Crawford, Thomas Ragsdale, Evan Kramer, Ward Davenport, and Patrick Stowe. In 2001-2, William Postma, Wes Rentz, Lee McMillan, Andrew Henson, Bert O'Neill. 2002-3, Hayes Arundel, Dylan Rankin, William Flynn, Wesley McRae, and David Whiteside. Now we begin to recover more pictorial history with this great shot of an experiment, obviously, where the students left residual beer in the cast-iron claw tub, which attracted hundreds of flying beetles, who, after they splashed down and drank, were obviously too inebriated to fly out, and definitely couldn't climb the ceramic sides. This is a shot of the living room, which I shall attempt to trace over the years. Sometimes pictures are taken at the end of the lease, and that's bad, or after the house was renovated. Hogback is like the Bionic Man, for those of you old enough to remember the show. We shall rebuild him better than ever. That has been the motto of Hogback. In 2003-05, another 2-year lease with Trip Onan III, Ramsey Archer, Homer Jones, Thomas Wilson, and Raymond Larson. During this period of frantic decoration, someone, I think it was Tripp, convinced the student rag, the Trident, now defunct, to evaluate Hogback in its occasional series called Cribs. The article may well have put Hogback firmly on the map as a premier student location. I've selected a couple of the sections of the rating system. Firstly, the comment about the living room. No jokes in this section, just the facts. They have 2 boar heads over the fireplace, which was in use when I came by, and 2 deer heads. There are cardboard cutouts of Elvis and JFK, an autographed picture of Mr. October to Tyler, an Australian flag demanded by the owner, and a 36-inch TV. underneath a picture of Stone Cold. Throughout the room are scattered 1970s debate trophies. There is comfortable seating for 12, couches and lazy boys, and a strobe light in the corner. What does that mean? Fantastic. 10 points. Then it mentions a wild card. They have 2 hot tubs off the back porch. Oh, but these aren't your typical hot tubs, as they are heated by a wood fire. It takes about 3 hours to heat the water, and it's then pumped into one of the 2 tubs, which are old carpet dyeing tubs, homemade and oh so special. There are also Christmas lights around the tub, affectionately known as the grotto. Here's a picture of the 6-foot wide side deck at the time. 2005-07, another 2-year lease with James McDermott, Michael Lackett, Tyrell Burris, Benjamin Long, and Nicholas Raffetto. During these years, the tree that had grown against the rear deck finally died and had to be removed. This exposed a large expanse of sloping hillside to be maintained. I must include a photograph of a particular plant that I found growing close to the house. A quick look, and being inexperienced, convinced me this must have been marijuana. Do I cut down this disgusting illegal plant, or wait for harvest time? Well, I didn't have to worry. Stupid me couldn't tell a thistle from the real thing. That's what it was, a bloody thistle. Shades of Breaking Bad. The only other uplifting and exciting activity that I can recall was looking down the staircase to the basement and being greeted by Brooke Burke. It was just a poster, but I had her framed behind plexiglass sheet, for a while at least. In 2007-08 saw the arrival of Joseph Longos II, Brian Wesley, William Ryan, Kirk Jones, and David Yancey. 2007 has the living room with no blinds, curtains, etc., and the TV was set in the corner, as the fireplace was now gas logs in place of the open fire, which was considered too much of a danger. The hot tubs were removed in 2008 due to an insurance concern. That is, they cancelled the insurance, as there was no way to control the water temperature, except with a garden hose. In 2008, students occupying Hogback were James Pratt, Frank Dale, Jason Bacage, Drew Crowley, and Ryan Welsh. The hot tubs fell into disrepair before their final demise. In 2008, the fire pit was constructed to avoid the students trying to burn the house down with chimeneas, etc., on the upper deck. Here was the opportunity to relax around a bonfire surrounded by the safety of concrete. In 2009, the upper deck was extended from 6 foot wide to 20 feet wide, providing considerably more deck for gatherings. The deck was erected above a 20-foot shipping container, which provided a place for the incoming students to store furniture while the outgoing students emptied the rooms. One student added some great artwork on his door. Unfortunately, doors don't last long at Hogback. As a matter of fact, only one original door has survived. Some have been replaced several times. 2010-11 students were Connor Danielowski, William Patton, Charles Martin, Reed Earnhardt, and Robert Dilworth. The living room now has a rudimentary slat blinds, and here it is ready for 2010. In 2010, though, disaster struck, when the poster of Brooke Burke, who lured you down the staircase, was removed due to some mother's protestations. I don't know if I'll ever recover. Over the years, the house collected various hogsheads, which were adorned with a selection of random clothing. In 2010, the upper deck and the fire pit were connected with the grand staircase. This enabled access to the fire pit from the upper deck without having to climb down the embankment, which was a mess of clay and weeds. The same year, there was a large deck expansion project, providing much more gathering area on the deck. 2011-12, George McMaster, Alfred Toro, William Andrews, and Jason Knight. The living room beginning 2011 now has a large flat panel TV above the fireplace, which has had the gas logs removed, and room for electronics, amplifiers, CD players, etc. The wooden slat blinds are still with us. In 2012-13, Andy Ogben, John Terrell, Henry Portwood, William Metzger, Kerry O'Brien. The living room hasn't changed much. In 2012, we decided to install stadium steps so that the clay slope could be controlled and to provide a place for students to sit and watch the fire pit activities. It was a major undertaking working on a slope which was 100% clay, but the result was well worth it. We had an amphitheatre. 2013-14, John McIntyre, Lucas Johnson, James Freeman, Ben Atnip, John Gainey. The living room looked tired, with blinds showing the worst for wear. It soon became obvious there needed to be additional decking to support the band and food catering, so we began designing and building the bottom deck. This provided a massive area for entertainment. Coupled with the amphitheatre, Hogback was now a true fraternity dream. 2014-15. Christian von Hassel, Andrew Bladen, Joseph Beninati, Richard Schmidt and Thomas Pritchard. The living room now has additional industrial-strength curtains. With each of the pelmets is a removable rod of galvanized electric conduit. The whole thing is resting on top of the window frame and held there by 2 nails, allowing it to be lifted off entirely for those special occasions. With a similar design on the hogsheads, the room can be stripped in minutes of any protruding decorative objects. We also added a ground-level gravel and railroad tie staircase for additional use to avoid tracking clay. 2015-16, Kyle Singerman, Patrick Barry, George Ugart, James Dubin, and Reed Calhoun. In 2016, Joseph Beninati's work of art was memorialized and mounted on a welcome sign for Hogback. 2016-17, George Ugart, Burke Plater, Brian Dowd, and Reed Calhoun. As you can see from this picture, the curtains, etc., have survived at least 1 year. 2017-18, Taylor Lee, Will Singer, Chandler Harrison and Hayden Combs. Finally, the carpet tiles have been replaced and new designer fans have been installed. In 2018-19, Richard Moore, Stephen McCaffrey, Clark Mabey and Anders Ashford were there. Hogback had its first Australia Day celebration on January the 26th, of course. Fireworks were provided and the children had a good time. This year also saw the arrival of the Hogback Video Console Kegerator. Unique, one-of-a-kind acquisition, perfect for Hogback, with corresponding US and Australian coats of arms and about 120 different old arcade games to play. It was an instant hit. Unfortunately, it was stolen the day the students moved out in June 2019. In 2019-20, the students were Parker Julian, Will Webster, William Chapman, Robert Quintilli, and Joseph Weincheck. This year the deck was renovated and new Kumaru hardwood caps were installed along the railing. Also, the game console was recovered and renovated and is again in use. The perpetrators are still awaiting sentencing. Students for 2021 are Will Selchert, Jonathan Huff, Charlie Weeks, McLean von Veal, and Harrison Travitz. The living room this year looks like a used sofa showroom, and there are now 2 flat panel TVs mounted on the chimney. Also, the thieves who stole the game console were apprehended, charged, and found guilty. The unit was recovered and a new screen installed and is now in use. The kitchen floor was replaced with click vinyl boards. And the big news. Yes, Hogback again has a hot tub, this time an approved controllable item. Hopefully it can be kept operational and everyone can enjoy it. Another addition to the Hogback experience. Additionally, the Hogback sign was lovingly restored to its full beauty. Thanks, Joe Beninati. Maybe you can come by and sign it one day. Hogback is a continuing evolution of student entertainment, enjoyment, and learning. A place to live and a place to enjoy life. And so it goes, and so it grows.